Welcome to a new guitar tutorial. This one was a request by one of my students. Today we have a look at the 30th by Billie Eilish. If you're interested in sheet music of the song, you can go to my Patreon page. There you can download a full transcription of the guitar part I will show you in this tutorial, including tabs and regular notation. And if you enjoyed the lesson and want to support my channel, please hit subscribe, ring the bell, leave a like and drop me a line in the comments. First of all, we have a look at the picking pattern of the song, which goes like this. So we're starting on the low E string, then we have the G string with our index finger, then the low E string again, and then the B string, 1 and 2 and, then we leave out beat 3, and on 3 and we're picking the G string again, then the low E string again, and then the B string again. So the complete pattern, 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and 1 and 2 and 3, 4 and. And from time to time chords are held for 2 bars, and in that case we're also leaving out beat 1 of the second bar, so then the picking pattern goes like this: 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and. One more time: 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and. The intro of the song starts with a G chord. We have the 3rd fret of the low E string, we have the open G string and the 3rd fret of the B string, and then we're starting with our picking pattern: 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and. In the second bar our root note is going down a half step to an F sharp, so we have the 2nd fret of the low E string, and we keep the 4th finger on the 3rd fret of the B string, 1 and 2 and then there's a little melody line coming in: 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and, which is starting on the 3rd fret of the B string and then going down 1st fret B string and then the open B string. So this bar one more time: 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and then we're on the open B string, and the next chord is an E minor chord. We have the open E string, open G string and the open B string, and this chord is held for 2 bars, so we have the second picking pattern: 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and 1 and 2 and then there's another melody line starting on the A, on the 2nd fret of the G string, followed by the open B string and then the 1st fret of the B string. So these 2 bars one more time. And then we're going to an A minor chord. But first, the first 4 bars one more time: 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and 1 and 2. And then we're playing an A minor chord, so we're keeping the 1st finger on the 1st fret of the B string, and we're adding our 2nd finger on the 2nd fret of the G string. And on 4 and we're doing a pull off from the 1st fret of the B string down to the open B string: 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and 1. And then in the next bar we're playing a G chord, so we have the 3rd fret of the low E string and the open G string and the open B string. And then in the next bar we're going to a D chord. So we have the open D string, the 2nd fret of the G string and the 3rd fret of the B string, and I tend to use the 4th finger for the 3rd fret of the B string, but you can also use your 3rd finger. And then the picking pattern goes like this: 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and 1 and 2 and then there's one more time this melody line 3rd fret B string, 1st fret B string, going down to the open B string. And then we're in the reverse part. But first these 4 bars one more time. And the complete intro section. And then when the verse part and the verse starts with a G chord, we have the 3rd fret of the low E string and the open G and the open B string. And we're playing the picking pattern. Next bar, the root is going down to an F sharp again. So we have the 2nd fret of the E string and one more time the open G and open B string. And then the root note is going down to an open E. And then there's this melody line in the same way as we did it in the intro of the song. And then the next 4 bars are played in the same way as the 4 bars in the intro of the song. Then the first 4 bars of the verse part are repeated. Then it's A minor chord again, is the pull off again. And then we're going to this D chord again, and there's a little difference. So we're starting in the same way. We have the open D string, 2nd fret of the G string and the 3rd fret of the B string. But on 4 and we're removing the 4th finger, so we have 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and open B string, and then we're doing a hammer on to the 1st fret of the B string, and then we continue with our picking pattern. So these 2 bars, 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and. Then we're going to an E minor chord again, so only open E, open G, open B string. The D chord again. And then we're going to C chord. So, but we're keeping the 4th finger on the 3rd fret of the B string. Our root is the 3rd fret of the A string. So we're picking the A string, 3rd fret, open G string, root note again, and then we're going down to the 1st fret of the B string. So we're removing the 4th finger, and we have the 1st fret of the B string. Then the G string again, and then as a root note we have the 2nd fret of the D string, and we're ending on the 3rd fret of the high E string, and then this chord is held for another bar. So these last 4 bars and the complete verse part. F sharp in the bass, E minor, melody, A minor, pull off, D chord, G chord again, F sharp, E minor, chord and C chord. And then we're in the chorus section, and the chorus starts on the G chord again, but now the picking pattern changes a little bit. We're not playing the G and the B string, we're picking the D, and the first finger is picking the D string and the second finger is picking the G string. And we're starting on the G chord, so we have the third fret of the low E string and the open D, open G string. Then we're going to an E minor chord. We have the open E string, second fret of the D string and the open G string. And then 2 bars of C, so we're adding the third finger on the A string. We're keeping the second finger on the second fret of the D string, and we have the open G string. And these 4 bars are repeated. Then we have this E minor chord again, so we have the open E string and we're keeping the second finger on the second fret of the D string, open G string. And the G chord again, C chord. And in the next bar we're changing the root note from C to B on the second fret of the E string. We're keeping the second finger on the second fret of the D string and open G string. So these last 4 bars one more time. And then we're going to an A minor chord. We're still keeping the second finger on the second fret of the D string, and we're adding the third finger on the second fret of the G string and the first finger on the second fret of on the first fret of the B string, and we're picking A string, D string, A string, G string, then D string, A string again, and then we're going up to the B string, 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and 1, and then we're picking the G string, A string and D string again. And then we're holding this chord for the rest of the bar, 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and then we're going to a C minor chord. Here we're barring the third fret and we're adding the second finger on the fourth fret of the B string, third finger on the fifth fret of the D string and the fourth finger on the fifth fret of the G string, and we're picking A string, D string, G string, B string, and then G string again, D string, and then the high E string, 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and. One more time, 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and. And the complete chorus part one more time. To B, A minor, and C minor. Then the verse part is repeated and the chorus part is also repeated, and then the bridge starts, and the bridge is played on a G chord. We have the third fret of the low E string and the second fret of the A string and the open D string. And now the picking pattern is low E string with the thumb, and the first finger is picking the A string and our middle finger is picking the D string. And there's a slight change only in the first bar of the picking pattern. In the first bar of the picking pattern we're starting with the low E string and then we're picking the D string, and one more time the low E string, and then one more time the D string, 1 and 2 and then we're going on as we're used to, B string, low E string, and the D string, 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and, sorry, not the B string, the A string. So one more time, low E string, D string, low E string, D string, and then A string, low E string, D string. 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and then we're doing a hammer-on the first fret of the D string, and we're going on with the picking pattern. So this part one more time, 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and then we're sliding up with our first finger on the second fret of the D string, and at the end we're doing the slide down again to the first fret. So these complete 4 bars, 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and 1 and 2, 3 and 4, and then there's a pull off to the open D string again, and then this part starts again. Then another repetition. And one more time. We're adding the 4th finger on the 3rd fret of the A string, and we're strumming the E, A, the D and the G string. So the last repetition of this part. And then there's another chorus part, but it's played a bit slower, and we're not going on with the picking pattern, we're just strumming the G chord, holding it for 1 bar, then the E minor chord for 1 bar, and then the C chord for 2 bars. This is repeated. And then we're going on as we used to do in the chorus with the E minor chord, G chord, C chord, going down with the root note on the 2nd fret, and then the end of the song we have an A minor chord again, when we're picking A string, D string, G string, D string, high E string, and then we're doing the same with the C minor chord, and then the song ends on the G major chord. And here we're barring the 3rd fret, and we're adding the 4th fret of the G string and the 5th fret of the A and the D string. So the last 8 bars of the song. And this was the guitar part for the 30th by Billie Eilish. I hope you enjoyed this lesson. Please hit subscribe if you haven't, ring the bell, leave a like, drop me a line in the comments, and I hope to see you next time. Bye.